What's going on, boxing fans? It's Julian Williams with The Distance. I'm here with another mailbag question. One of my newest subscribers had asked me, how did John Duddy and Andy Lee do against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.? Well, honestly, all three of these fighters are. I think all three of these fighters are kind of at the moment still in the prospective stage. No matter how high they're ranked, they haven't really faced the quality of opposition to put themselves in that contender category. Andy Lee was actually in that spot, and until he lost to Brian Vera not too long ago. Andy, honestly, I did hear a lot of rumors about Andy Lee and John Duddy fighting each other for the longest, but the fight never happened, with John Duddy losing to I can't even remember the guy's name, Billy Lyle, back last spring. So that fight never came to fruition. But how would they fare against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.? Andy Lee is a very good boxer, has a very good trainer in his corner, Emmanuel Stewart. I think his biggest problem is that he has problems tying up and clinching, which is the reason he lost to Brian Vera, because he had trouble clinching. He really doesn't know how to hold the arms down. But I think that Andy Lee is a huge step up in competition for Chavez Jr. Andy Lee is a very different boxer than he's ever faced. So I do think that Andy Lee would definitely beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. because he has a style, like he's not necessarily slick, but he's on his toes and he moves. He has good hand speed, good skill, good corner. I'm gonna go with the fighter who has the better skill and the better corner. I'm gonna go with in this match, but I would go with Andy Lee. John Duddy, I'm not too sure. John Duddy, I've seen him in some wars. John Duddy, I saw him against Yuri Boy Campos, and I saw him, and there's another fight I saw him in. I can't remember. I think his name was, I forgot the dude's name, but I've seen John Duddy fight quite a bit. I've seen clips of him, and he has kind of this brawling style where he comes forward and he stands there and he brawls. I don't think that Chavez could even hurt Duddy, because if you remember his last match with Troy Rowland was punched out in front of him. He was punched out in front of him, and he couldn't knock him out. So honestly, in the early rounds, Chavez Jr. would have to go for the knockout against John Duddy. He would have to try to knock out John Duddy in the early rounds to win that matchup. And honestly, John Duddy, I think hits a lot harder, but I think that Chavez Jr. Has better lateral movement than John Duddy, because John Duddy kind of just comes forward. He comes in one angle, one direction, so I think that's kind of a harder fight to think about right there. John Duddy versus Chavez Jr. I give Duddy the edge in this matchup, but I think it's a matchup Chavez Jr. could win personally, because I think that he does have a little more than John Duddy. Because a lot of people see John Duddy as one-dimensional, or as a brawler or whatever, brawler, club fighter, whatever. But John Duddy, comes to fight every night. He comes to fight. So I think Chavez Jr. would have to knock him out in the early rounds just to get that victory, or just to take Duddy out, because Duddy gets stronger as fights go on. So Overall, I'd say Andy Lee beats Chavez Jr. John Duddy, I don't know. They actually been Top Rank's been trying to make this fight for a while. Duddy versus Chavez Jr. But the fight never came to fruition as well. So anyway, a lot of people may think since I had 2 videos on Chavez Jr. this week, think I'm a Chavez Jr. hater. I'm not a Chavez Jr. hater, but me, like a lot of boxing fans and a lot of analysts and stuff, just think kind of think a bit critically of his career, just because at this point of his career, he's fought more fights than a lot of champions and veteran fighters. Like, and I did say Bernard Hopkins yesterday. I actually meant Joe Calzaghe, who's now retired. He's fought just as many or more fights than a lot of our veterans, and he still hasn't progressed and moved up. A lot of people don't rate him or whatever, but it's hard for me to rate or rank him because of the level of opposition that he fought. And it's John Duddy and Andy Lee. Good question. 2 good Irish fighters. Andy Lee and John Duddy. It's like I said, I'll go with Andy Lee and John Duddy. I don't know about John Duddy. I give Chavez Jr. kind of a bit of an edge in this fight, but I say John Duddy might win it. Probably by a knockout if he Cause say John Duddy's down and he needs to score a knockout. John Duddy's gonna come out, bombs away. That's the type of fighter John Duddy is. But anyway, that's my thoughts on that. I encourage anybody to send me a mailbag whenever you like, or whatever. Anybody, feel free to message me, comment me, or whatever. Send me a question. No answer on video. But anyway, that was my mailbag for today, and those were my thoughts. That was the distance. Thanks for watching. Peace.